In recent years, the topic of regret among transgender individuals has gained more attention, with stories of people who feel they made a mistake in transitioning and are now choosing to detransition. This issue is becoming more prominent as some individuals share their experiences of wishing they had taken a different path. Like and subscribe for more videos.
Regret transitioning.
I'm a biological woman that medically transitioned to appear like a male through synthetic hormones and surgery. I will never be a man. Nobody would help me, including the doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance. I get infections every 3 to 4 months. I'm probably not going to live very long. We have 5 children's hospitals in the United States telling girls that they can be boys at $70,000 a pop in a surgery that has a 67% complication rate. That will kill me. I have 3 kids at the age that they're doing this to kids. I'm not transphobic. I love my kids and I love other people's kids, and you should too. This is wrong on so many levels.
My name is Abigail Martinez. It has been 3 years and 164 days since I lost my daughter, Jaylee. I miss her every single day. Let me tell you how she died. My daughter was murdered by a gender ideology. CPS took my daughter when she was 16 years old. It was held by her public school counselor and LGBTQ group rights and another trans-identified girl. My daughter was taken from her loving home because the state of California claimed I was abusive for not affirming her trans identity. I lost my daughter over a name and a pronouns. Even after I promised to call her a male name, it wasn't enough. My daughter was not a boy trapped in a girl's body. She had mental health issues. Against my consent, my daughter was given testosterone instead of therapy. The LGBTQ group used her to raise money for them. Look at the poor reject trans boy, they said. Why are there so many transgender in foster care? Because this state take them from their families, tell them to run, then steal them. Parents are given one option to treat their distressed child, affirm, drug, and remove their healthy body part, or else lose your child. The abuse claim against me was finally dropped, but it was too late. The damage was done. By then, my daughter was in a horrible mental and physical pain. My daughter knelt down in front of a train. She was murdered by gender ideology. I beg you, stop pushing gender ideology. I don't want any parent to feel what I feel every day. Affirmation is not good for the health, safety, and welfare of any child.
I started the puberty blockers at age 11 and hormones when I was 12.
She's one of the first to have undergone complete pubertal suppression and lack of growth of the skin and other tissues which we rely on as surgeons to do this operation. I was just not expecting her to have a complication as severe as what she did have.
The wounds were definitely separating and she formed like a blister, it's almost like a blood blister.
As we were getting her on the bed, I felt something go pop. And when I looked, the whole thing had just split open. So the dehiscence on the outside, it was bad. She really was under so much tension that it created these large wounds. So we took a little bit of a skin graft from the other side of her groin, which we didn't use before, and I just put that in over the open wounds, repacked the vagina, and we covered everything up. Let the skin recover as much as it can. Skin grafts don't always work, and if that happens, then we will probably just do the skin grafts again.
Let me just take a picture too. Poor thing, you could be a porn star for all the photos we've taken. I have some concern that we can get enough mobility of the tissues that we can make the labial structures look convincing.
You know, I really thought after this third surgery that everything would be smooth sailing, but now there's this whole hiccup. My pee stream is not quite going out in the right direction, and just recently, I've been experiencing less clitoral sensation. I feel like I've already lost the aesthetics, you know, hopefully after this revision, it'll look good once it heals, but if I lose some of my sensation and nerve endings, I might never experience an orgasm. And the past few months have just been so challenging. And it's just been such a struggle. 2 years ago, I was on my way to one of the greatest institutions in the world, but I was actually struggling severely with mental health issues.
All right, once it zeros.
I started binge eating and I gained weight and more weight and more weight. And now, almost 100 pounds heavier, here I am today. Dilation is a process that comes along with bottom surgery. Basically, you take this long acrylic object and insert it up your vaginal canal so that you maintain depth and width. It's really important that you do this because if you don't, your vagina will start closing up and it'll lose its depth and you won't be able to use it properly.
I have woken Jazz out of a dead sleep and taken the dilator and put the lubrication on it and said, here, you take this and you put it in your vagina. If not, I will.
Bye. Don't forget to dilate.
Oh, it's exhausting.
It just doesn't stop.
It's okay. Give me a hug. It's okay. I know what you're going through. We've been there before.
No, I'm the one doing it. Like,
I know. You're your own worst enemy.
and I really want to have that clarity. I really want to understand myself and be able to read my own soul and what I want. And it's just very challenging. And I think I'm kind of breaking down a little bit and just want to feel like myself. Like, that's it. I don't
Like
care.
the old Jazz?
All I want is to be happy and feel like me. And I don't feel like
What
me
is me?
ever.
It was scarily easy to do because I had just called a therapist and I had scheduled one appointment, for like a 30-minute session to talk about it. And I essentially walked in, I said, I identify as transgender and I want to get top surgery. And we chatted for a bit, maybe for half an hour. And at the end of the session, she wrote me an approval letter to send to my insurance. And then I got approved just like that.
When you first started, you went in, you said to Planned Parenthood, they gave you testosterone immediately.
Yeah, I essentially just made a phone call and said, I want to transition. And it was immediately given. I got a prescription and went to pick it up like a week later.
Did they ask you questions? Did they do any psychological testing? Did they ask you why? What was your motive?
It was completely self-diagnosed.
You said, I want testosterone, they gave it to you.
Yeah, I had confused, because I had become uncomfortable with how society had seen me as a woman sexually. So I didn't actually have gender dysphoria. I had just confused myself into thinking that I did.
The vantage point that you have now, looking back on that, is it traumatizing to think about?
Absolutely. It's horrifying. This shouldn't have been an option for me. It hurts knowing like I could have just grown up without any intervention and I could have been completely normal. I wouldn't be dealing with all of the stuff that I am now. I'm having some pretty serious complications from my surgery on top of all the trauma that it's caused me. If somebody just told me like, this isn't going to make you into a boy and there's no guarantee that doing any of this is going to resolve your distress. You're perfect as you are as a woman. The issue isn't your body, it's the way that you think of it. And no matter what you do to yourself, what drugs you take, what surgeries you get, you're always going to be a woman, and you are enough. I wouldn't be dealing with any of this right now.
Did anyone say that to you?
May or may not recognize me. I was in a MTV documentary about trans youth back in 2016 called Transformation. When you see the kid named Milo, that's me. That was me before any medical stuff happen to me.
First thing that I think I said was, "So do you want a penis?" And he was like, "No." So that was my first thought. You know, I've learned in the past months that it's not that. You know, it has nothing to do with that. It's who you feel like you are inside, your gender.
Like, I cannot imagine living my life as female.
At times he feels like he could hurt himself, you know, just because of the way he feels inside. And I've heard a lot of horror stories about, you know, the percentage of trans kids that commit suicide.
I think I regret medically transitioning to male. I've been on testosterone, doing testosterone injections for about 7.5 years. I started when I was 14 in 2015. I also got top surgery, which is double mastectomy with kind of like male appearance chest reconstruction when I was 16. I then got a hysterectomy last year when I was 21. The biggest reason was because I was getting a lot of pain, like atrophy, cramping in my uterus from the testosterone. In my head, I kind of had these thoughts of like, well, if I'm a man, then I don't need these. Maybe like 8 months after my hysterectomy, I had to go into emergency surgery because one of my my right ovary twisted inside and kind of died. They said it like twisted and it was like, I don't know if like the circulation got cut off to it or something, and it died and sort of ruptured, and now I only have one ovary. And the ovary that I still have, I don't know if it's healthy, and there's no way to really tell, I don't think. I just kind of have to hope that it's in there and it's working. So my hairline, my hair is very thin along the hairline. So on both sides, all of this is gone, and this cannot be regrown because the hair is just gone. I have a moon face, which basically means there's a lot of fat stored in my face, and that's a side effect of steroids, not just testosterone, but other steroids too. When women take steroids, like full beard, stubble all the way under my neck. I have really thick body hair all over my body. Testosterone also changed my voice, as you can hear. Before testosterone, I had a very, very, very feminine voice. And before I had top surgery, I had like pretty large breasts. I think I was like a C cup. I was so adamant on top surgery is because I just felt like I could never get my chest flat enough with a binder. I guess why I think I thought I wanted to become a man as a teenager. As long as I can remember, I've never liked anything feminine. I've always kind of been like gender neutral with my interests. I was always really into animals and like dinosaurs and stuff. I hated dresses. I hated anything that was considered feminine. I was never diagnosed with autism, but I'm fairly certain I am autistic just based on life experiences. Growing up, I was a very shy kid, especially in middle school. I just never felt like I fit in anywhere, so I was very shy and I was reserved. I feel almost like I'm in a costume. That what I've done to my appearance and my body has almost been a survival tactic, or a form of protection against unwanted attention from men, society's expectations of women. And I just always thought, like, you know, that's not me, I can't do that. When I found out about trans stuff online, I truly thought it was the answer. when I was like 14, reading all this stuff online about how, like, if you are a girl, or if you were a girl and you grew up not fitting in with other girls or not liking girly things and feeling like you hated your body because it was female, that meant that you're a man. And that's kind of like what I was told by the internet and my friends who I met on the internet too, who were around my age, who also were trans. Doctors and stuff who specialize in gender stuff told me that everything I was feeling was like signs of gender dysphoria, and if I wanted to alleviate this gender dysphoria, the options were hormone therapy and surgeries and stuff. And in retrospect, I feel like everything kind of happened really fast. It seemed very easy to get these surgeries. It was all covered by insurance and stuff, we didn't have to really pay out of pocket for any of it. Trauma from when I was a teenager going through puberty, and I was bullied at school by other girls for being kind of weird and stuff. So now I'm stuck. I'm stuck looking like a man and sounding like a man. I think I completely regret everything I've done. I'm heartbroken. I don't want to be made into a horror story. I don't want my story to be politicized. Hundreds, thousands, millions of trans people who did transition and felt like it was the solution, and now they're much happier. But I think for me, it wasn't the solution, because I still have all these problems that I thought would go away, and they're still here. I don't know how I'm going to move forward. I don't know how I'm going to accept myself, how I'm going to accept what was done to me. I know I can't blame myself because I was a teenager, and I thought this is what was I thought this was what the solution would be, but it's not. I feel every day I do nothing, I cry and I sleep. I'm thankful to have my parents around to be supportive right now, because without them I would probably not be here at all. Thanks for watching, if you did.
At first I had feelings of kind of grief that I lost that idealistic daughter that I thought I had, because, I always had visions of the white wedding dress, shopping for the wedding dress, planning the wedding, all these girly images. And, Milo's always been Milo, and that hasn't changed. He might look different now, but he's still Milo inside. And I never had a daughter from the day that he was born. I just didn't know it.
Things I wish I would have known before transitioning. All right, I'm 24 years old. I transitioned when I was 15, so nearly 10 years ago. And today I just want to talk about everything I regret, everything I wish I would have done differently. Do not rush your transition. That is one of the main things. And this is one of the main things that I hear all of my trans friends say that they regret. I used to look up to people that were like 2 months into their transition, and I felt awful because I was like maybe a year in, and I personally felt like they looked more feminine or they looked better than me. So I was always very stressed about that. So all I ever cared about was like getting my surgery as quick as possible, not caring about anything. I regret a lot of my surgeries. A lot of my surgeries left me scarred, left me with hideous scars, and left me with results I'm stuck with for the rest of my life just because I rushed into it. I don't regret the surgery specifically, but I do regret how it was done. As an example, I got facial feminization surgery at this doctor's clinic that I knew my insurance would be covering the costs, and it left me completely disfigured with scars, but I do not look any different. So basically, he did a technique that is so old that almost nobody does anymore, which left me with little to no difference. I had my brow bone done, and as you can see, the brow bone is still a little there, but it's not different from what it was before at all. It just looks slightly flatter, and that's it. I also got a lip lift with this doctor, which left me with a scar right underneath my nose. And he did a horrible job with it, which my scar completely ripped. All of this was open, and I really, really hated it. And now I'm just left with like a thick 1/2 inch scar right underneath my nose with no result at all. My lips look exactly the same they did before, and it's just what I am left with right now. So basically, my FFS left me looking almost identical to what I looked like before. However, I did get Botox into my brows, which lifted my brows up quite a lot. If you look at my before pictures, I did get Botox into my brows, which is what caused the difference in my eyes. Also, my SRS was really messed up. I had to get it corrected 3 times because the doctor messed up big time. And mind you, I got all my surgeries right when I turned 18 because it was like, I need to get this done. With this doctor, insurance covers all of it, so I just need to get it done. I don't care. Which now I completely regret. I wish I would have done my research. I wish I would have gotten my SRS with a doctor that I knew would do a good job, not the one that I currently had my surgery with. Also, you don't need every single surgery in the book to be passing to look good. I used to think you need every single surgery in the book to be happy. I did get a BBL, but the truth is, a year after your BBL, quite a lot of it just disappears. I still quite am happy with it, but a lot of it disappears for sure. Also, the thing is, don't be the butt of the joke. I used to let my friends at the time do that all the time. They used to come up to me and be like, oh my God, so we were hanging out with like guys last night and we showed you a picture. And we were like, what do you think of her? And they were all like, oh, she's so hot. And then we were like, she's a man. And I was like, that's so funny. I really hate that I used to be the girl that let other people talk about me like that. At the time, I was just happy to have friends and to be accepted. It is very much possible that your close friends around you will feel threatened by you and by the attraction that some men will have towards you. I had a lot of female friends like that. I unfortunately had these experiences where men would be attracted to me and they would immediately tell them, they'd be like, yeah, she's attractive, but like, she's a dude. And they would do that behind my back. Also, if a man wants to sleep with you, it does not mean he respects you. It does not mean he loves you. And it does not mean he values you as a woman. I used to go on dates with guys that would literally be so disgusting in the messages and would just make it very clear to me that all they want is to hook up. And I would always think, well, they're into me. And I would just enjoy the attention. And I would go on these dates and not hook up with them because that's never who I was. And I never believed in hookup culture, and they would get mad at me and I would be so confused, even though they made it very, very clear what they wanted. Do not let people gaslight you into believing that as long as they accept you but treat you like shit, you should be glad that they at least accept you. Also, big thing, don't talk to your high school bullies. The ones that used to call you the F word. I know it's always the ones that are going to come back and are going to start talking to you and wanting to hook up with you. Don't talk to them. Don't give them a second chance. They knew exactly what they were doing. Oh, and one thing I want to add, having the tiniest, skinniest, thinnest, most overplucked eyebrows in the middle of your forehead does not make you more feminine. Stop the overplucking. I did it all the trans girls I know did it. We all started growing them out again. That's all I gotta say today. I think I'm gonna start doing more videos like this where I talk about my experience over the years. Like this video, comment, and I will definitely start doing more of these videos.
I medically detransitioned this past year. Hearing about the process of other detransitioners and even speaking to some people who are here today, it makes you realize that, oh, well, maybe this is not so rare as they're saying it is, especially when it comes to medical consequences. There was like a list of that, the incontinence, you know, not being able to hold your bladder, not being able to sleep because of heat flashes that are painful. It's ridiculous thinking that a teenager should go through that. I know that I had a conversation with Chloe earlier this year about heat flashes, and that was the first time that I had spoken to anybody about like the itchiness and the uncomfortableness at night, and realizing that wasn't just me. You know, and that's what you hear a lot. A lot of people will be like, oh, well, it's just you. I guess it just didn't work out for you. And it's like, it's not just me.
I transitioned when I was like 25, lived as a man, quote unquote, for like 7 years. Realized, oh, I don't need to do this, and I'm running away from other things. So I went back to living as a woman more or less a year ago, and just kind of opened my eyes to kind of like the whole gaslighting. The whole thing is like weaponizing empathy to make people believe that, oh, you have to affirm these kids. That's the nice thing to do. But long term, well, I think you guys know.
In my early 20s, I had substance use disorders and mental health issues. I transitioned from male to female. I lived my life as a transgender woman for close to 10 years. I detransitioned upon sobering up and getting to see a psychologist that was not an activist. I think a lot of society, and especially the trans rights movement, detransition is a reality that they're not ready to see or face or accept quite yet.
I'm 18 now. I'm a legal adult. There's still a lot of things that I can't do legally. Like I still can't buy marijuana or nicotine products or alcohol. I can't rent a car. I can't even rent a hotel room. And yet at 13, I was allowed to make the decision to change my sex.
I'm angry. What's gonna happen to the kids and the youth? And there's so many people who regret this. There's more and more and more coming out, and younger too, on puberty blockers, that been on puberty blockers. And you know, I read one that, you know, I think he went on puberty blockers at 16, and now he's like 20 or 21, and he is like suicidal because his penis won't grow anymore. Like, it does damage. It makes me so angry. And what we're gonna get is a generation that's screwed up. That are screwed up in like 10, 15 years. Wait, not even. I think it's accelerating quite quickly. When we get 30, 40-year-olds that are going to be like, what the fuck did I do when I was 16 or whatever, like, and you can't go back. You can't go back. I'm sad for myself, of course. Not in a victim kind of way, but in like, this process of mourning who I was is touch and go. So, but I'm sad for humanity and the children and what's gonna happen when they're screwed up. We're gonna see what's gonna happen, and I really, really hope that all these professionals get their friggin' karma, because I know that some of them don't realize, and some of them might be brainwashed and whatever, but some of them know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. Cash cowing.
What's your name?
My name's Clementine.
Nice to meet you.
I've actually seen your stuff online, and I'm a huge fan. I was on puberty blockers. I started when I was 12, and I was on testosterone from 14 to 17, and I got top surgery at 17. Totally messed my life up, so I just want to say you're doing a good thing. I can't believe people disagree with you on this. As a former child transitioner, I'm just appalled that people have anything to question you about, so I salute you.
I'm so sorry you had to go through all that. I'm glad you are through it now. Thank you so much for speaking up. That's extremely valuable because a lot of people are afraid to.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we have a little conversation about it?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, come on in this way just a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hi.
So, your name again?
My name's Clementine.
Clementine. So Clementine went on puberty blockers at what age?
12.
And you detransitioned at?
I detransitioned earlier this year, actually, but I had been going off testosterone since about 17 because it gave me psychosis.
When did they put you on testosterone?
I was 13.
Wow. And when did you have a double mastectomy?
I had a double mastectomy at 14. I'm currently going through the process of getting reconstructive surgery, and it was harder to get that approved. I actually wasn't able to get it approved by my insurance.
Right.
But it was much harder to get surgery for that than it was to actually get the original top surgery procedure.
For everyone watching this who says this isn't happening, well, it happened to Clementine. At 14, a double mastectomy, puberty blockers at 12, testosterone at 13. How old are you now?
I'm 20 now. I just turned 20.
Have you ever talked to anyone about suing?
I can't disclose what's going on, but yeah, it's...
Okay, because I'm here to help you find
like
someone if you need someone.
Yeah, I've spoken... Do you know Campbell Miller Payne?
I do.
I've talked to them a bunch.
Fantastic. So Campbell Miller Payne is a law firm for dads in Texas who all left their previous law firms and started a new one just to sue for kids and young people like Clementine who've been harmed by this madness. And these are great guys. They could have done anything to make a bunch of money, but they started a law firm. They left all their previous firms. They have 18 kids between them, and they're going to cause a lot of waves. I know some good lawsuits coming too, which we aren't allowed to announce yet.
Yeah, I really hope so.
That's one of the way out of this mess we've gotten into.
That's really the only way right now.
Sometimes I can't even get a hotel room because I'm under the age of 21, and yet I still was able to get my breast removed when I was 15.
Today I sit down with Chloe Cole. At age 13, she was prescribed puberty blockers and then testosterone. At age 15, she got a double mastectomy.
But I'd hoped that, one day it would be over and I would finally feel better. But I didn't.
At age 16, she decided to detransition and started re-identifying as a girl. Now she plans to sue the medical group and hospital that facilitated and advised her and her parents in her medical transition.
They were very misled. They were manipulated even by our doctors. They said that there's less than a 1 to 2% regret rate.
The foreshadowing in this video is insane. That's an old video of me from right before I transitioned. And for those of you who don't know, I'm a detransitioner. I liked being called she, her. I liked my old name that I go by now again. The end there, I was like, is mental illness in it? It was. It was in fact mental illness. I was not trans. This just goes to show you, it's a fucking TikTok trend. It is. I didn't have any dysphoria. I didn't. I was just like, all these people online are going by they, them. Maybe I want to go by they, them. I kind of like it. But I also liked being called she, her because I'm a girl. I'm a woman. I liked it. A bunch of my old TikToks and I was just like, oh my god. That is insane. That is literally just how did I not know? How did nobody know? How did nobody stop me? Literally said, it's mental illness in it. It's mental illness in it. It was. I was just depressed. I was confused. I was influenced. It was mental illness. It's a fucking TikTok trend. It's a fucking TikTok trend.
I speak to you today as a victim of one of the biggest medical scandals in the history of the United States of America. At the age of 12, I began to experience what my medical team would later diagnose as gender dysphoria. I was very uncomfortable with the changes that were happening to my body. I was intimidated by male attention, and when I told my parents that I felt like a boy, in retrospect, all I meant was that I hated puberty. My parents were immediately concerned. They felt like they needed to get outside help from medical professionals, but this proved to be a mistake. The gender specialist I was taken to told my parents that I needed to be put on puberty-blocking drugs right away. They asked my parents a simple question. Would you rather have a dead daughter or a living transgender son? This was the moment that we all became victims of so-called gender-affirming care. I was fast-tracked onto puberty blockers and then testosterone. I had a double mastectomy at 15. Before I was able to legally drive, I had a huge part of my future womanhood taken from me. I will never be able to breastfeed, and I have massive scars across my chest. Everything that I went through did nothing to address my underlying mental health issues that I had. The drugs and surgeries changed my body, but they did not and could not change the basic reality that I am and forever will be a female. At 16, after my surgery, I did become I'm doing better now, but my parents almost got the dead daughter promised to them by my doctors. We need to stop telling 12-year-olds that they were born wrong. Puberty is a rite of passage to adulthood, not a disease to be mitigated.
Hi guys, my name is Helena. I am a detransitioner. I transitioned from female to male and back to female. And I think that trans people are valid. Ask me anything that you like. So this commenter asked, what made you realize you made a tragic mistake? And honestly, I think that in my case, it was not so tragic. I took low-dose hormones and I did not get surgery, so it really wasn't so bad transitioning back. And I think that it has given me a really unique voice. I enjoy it. I do feel for detransitioners that have gotten surgery and have gotten heavy doses of hormones that want to go back and they can't. They can't go back to what they were originally. So I really, really, really feel for them. I think it's really tragic and I wish it didn't have to be that way. So what made me realize that I was actually a woman is kind of a mystery, because I went through about a year of hormone therapy and I just started to feel comfortable in my own skin, and I realized that I didn't want to grow up to be a transsexual man. I wanted to go back to being a woman. So I don't really have an answer for that, unfortunately. It is a little strange, but all is well in the end. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for your question.